What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the BG Cast Wednesday show. First thing I'm going to do today is thank all of you guys, my subscribers, my followers. Thank you for hanging in there with me the past few months while this podcast kind of found itself. But now it's found itself. Great news. So this is what we're going to be doing here on the BG Cast solo shows from now on. This is going to be geared more towards consciousness and ascension. We will still do world stage talk, conspiracy talk, and talk about my theory a little bit here and there, but we're going to kind of keep that strictly to the Saturday shows from here on out on the BG Tap, Syrup Tap, my buddy Joe Price Stupa, which we'll actually be doing Friday this week. So I will drop a link and let you guys know when that's happening. So without further ado, we're going to do another consciousness special today. And we're going to touch a little bit on this so-called fake alien invasion they're trying to pitch at us. I know. So we'll talk about that at the end. But what I'm going to do in this video for you guys today is I'm going to get you geared up for the ascension. I'm going to give you my checklist of things that I recommend that each individual do in their spiritual life and in their spiritual practice to help get them to where they need to be. Today, hopefully by the end of this, I'm going to teach you how to perceive in higher frequencies. I'm going to teach you to read between the lines, look at the subtle, and kind of help you find your own way into your spiritual practice. So, without further ado, let's start. All right, so step one. Dropping the duality. If you guys didn't catch my last Wednesday show, it was a long one, but I kind of broke this down a little bit. Talking about not only the theory a lot of us are having about what's going on right now, but kind of really stressed the importance of dropping the dualistic mindset. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my really poorly drawn photos again, just so you guys can take a look here. So this is duality. Remember we talked about it, the black and the white. You got good light and love, and you got evil, darkness, and fear. Okay, what we really essentially need to move to is this, the gray. Balance. Bad things can come from good situations. Good things can come from bad situations. One cannot exist without the other. Angels and demons. We'll touch a little bit more on that here right now. So what I mean by dropping the dualistic mindset, I personally feel like a lot of people in our spiritual community are still compartmentalizing stuff into two different boxes. It's good or it's bad. When in all reality, we have neutral, but it is the perception of the frequency. Let me explain how that goes, okay? Everything at its highest form is in service to the universal consciousness, is in service to the integrity of creation, okay? As it ripples through the densities, dimensions, whatever you choose to call them, we have what are called frequency perceptions. Some people might view it as something negative. Some people might view it as something positive. The one thing I can encourage you guys is any bad situation you encounter in life, look at the silver lining, okay? In any good situation that occurs to you, make sure you dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's, because the universe is going to test you on being thorough in that good situation, especially if you believe in delayed satisfaction, just like I do. Okay, so this is how a bad thing can come out of a good thing. So I find it's really difficult for a lot of people to remove themselves from this line of thinking. And I honestly think that's the case because, we all try to sway in the balance of love and light. That's our ultimate goal, right? So when we view things that we deem as negative, it kind of puts that conscious imprint, that conscious label on that. But what I would encourage you to do is to take this viewpoint. Look at everything, every person, every situation, every instance as a teacher. What is this trying to show me? Okay, now we're getting into higher frequency thinking. We're getting into higher dimensional thinking. Is what is this whole thing trying to show me? Okay, whether it's that coworker of yours that hasn't liked you since you walked in, you've only said one word to them, and they just don't like you for whatever reason. You wore the wrong color shirt that day. Anything from the traffic on your drive home. So, let's say you got to get somewhere important and you're running super late, but then you get stuck in traffic. It's something we all kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis here. And, with that being said, that traffic, what's that traffic trying to show you? What are the lessons in your symbolic stage on a day-to-day basis? It takes some time to train yourself to think this way. And it takes some time to train yourself how to perceive this way. But with work and dedication, you can get there. I promise you. We will kind of go through some of my tactics here when we get to some of the next steps, such as step 2, step 3, and so forth. Really dropping the duality is learning to look at your symbolic stage, and not just your symbolic stage, but the world stage also, from a point of non-attachment and sovereignty. We're going to get into that in step 2 and so forth. So here we go. So step 2, meditation and spiritual practices. So I know a lot of you out there have some sort of meditative practice. You have some sort of spiritual practice. So the number one thing I just want to tell all of you, especially if you're just new on your spiritual awakening journey, you're just starting to get into it, is don't overwork yourself and overpressure yourself. A spiritual practice can be something as simple as lighting some sage and taking a minute. It does not have to be a plethora of things. Now, mind you, I go the little bit of the extremist route. I do a few types of meditation. I do yoga. I do qigong, which is also known as Taoist yoga. I do mantra meditation and then quiet zazen meditation. I do these because I feel they complement each other. I feel they have a synergistic effect with one another, and that is something that you might find also. As you kind of progress in your journey, you're going to start to see I really like doing meditation after yoga because I feel like it really solidifies the experience of yoga. Or I like doing this after this because I feel it works synergistically with this. So, in all honesty, it's subjective to each person. What's going to work for me is not going to work for you. That's how the spiritual game works, guys. We're all our own little subjective universe. So we have our own perspectives, our own viewpoints, our own methods. Now, you can model off of somebody. And I'll be the first to tell you, you do not have to do the practices to the strict regimen that a lot of these philosophical and spiritual texts talk about, because intent's a very powerful thing. Okay, the intent just to sit down and meditate is already starting the process. The intent just to go and do a yoga session or to do a smudging of your home, the intent already ignites the process. So, don't get yourself caught up in thinking you have to do this 8 hours of meditation a day, followed by rigorous chore schedule with some singing bowls and some sound healing at the end. If you have the time, by all means. If you feel like that's what you want to do, by all means. But do not feel pressured. A spiritual practice can be something as simple as just lighting up some sage and taking a moment of silence. Now, the one thing I kind of want to dig in here, how the spiritual practice is going to help you in higher frequency thinking, is it helps instill mental and emotional discipline. Okay? Mental and emotional discipline is a very big thing in our world nowadays. We have to be mentally and emotionally disciplined. Shit. I am not perfect. I had moments today. Okay, I had moments today where I lacked a little bit of mental and emotional discipline. It happens. I have been feeling kind of rough at the beginning of this week. Not exactly sure why, but I have a feeling it has to do with the snowstorm coming in. Usually that messes with me, kind of throws me off a little bit. But this is the thing that's going to help you in your perceiving higher frequencies, perceiving higher dimensions, is to have that mental and emotional discipline. Also, I'm a big believer that a spiritual practice can bring on spiritual sovereignty. As you start to learn about your inner space and you start to explore it, you're going to see that a lot of the things that you might have believed or you might have put energy into aren't worth doing that anymore. And it's a very big pivotal realization. Each person has it at their own time. In this journey, you're going to have many burning bush moments. It's not just one. You're going to have many. And what I would do, okay, is just really focus on honing in on your own energy, disciplining yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and that will give way into step 3. So, step 3. Here we go. Mental and physical health. Now, mental health we kind of talked about a little bit. Mental health is going to kind of spread out between steps 2, 3, and 4. Physical health we're going to touch on here. Mental health is a very important thing for us to be able to experience higher frequencies, for us to experience higher realms and things like that. Why is that so? If you have too much stuff clogged in your internal subtle body, whether it's trauma, whether it's PTSD, whether it's things that have happened to you in your life. Guys, I'm still doing it too. Okay, I've been on this path for 15 years and I'm still undoing a lot of the things that have been holding me down. I've had a fairly messed up life. It's not the most messed up somebody's had, but I've had a fairly messed up life. And I've had a lot of people who were supposed to love me and be there for me abuse me. And that left kind of a lot of damage in me throughout the years. And now it's not the case anymore. I've moved past it, but the emotional entanglements of the situations can still reside subconsciously, and they can still come out and manifest themselves in a subconscious way where you might not realize that that is what's causing that. But one thing you'll start to see is you'll encounter a situation that was similar to the trauma that you experienced that's going to trigger it, and it's going to cause you to act in a way that's not in a great way. Remember what I said in the video last Wednesday. There's a difference between acknowledging the darkness and working through it and catering to it. Okay? So mental health is a big thing. We're going to touch a little bit on that in the next one for shadow work, which is step 4. But I want to take time to touch on physical health here too. You guys know me. I'm a big gym rat. I'm a gym nut. I like to eat well and I like to take care of myself. I have a really good idea that when it comes to this is going to help elevate not only your physical being, but your mental, emotional, and spiritual being into a higher frequency. So you remember we talked about cymatics, right? So you have to remember our bodies are vibrating all of the time, and our bodies are vibrating this geometry. And when you eat good, nutritious foods, when you exercise, okay, and you take care of the vessel that you are in during this life, you're going to see a lot of positive things come through on the spiritual side. Number one, you're going to feel better. And feeling better equals better mental health, which is going to equal better spiritual health. Number two, you're going to have more confidence in your day-to-day life. Any situation you encounter, whether it be highly physical, whether it be highly mentally straining, you are going to be able to handle it. And you're going to be able to take on whatever comes your way. sometimes universe slash God slash our higher self likes to throw obstacles at us for fun to test us. This physical health is going to help you get through those obstacles, especially eating a balanced diet of organic whole foods. Now, I'm not going to go off on vegetarianism and veganism. I would honestly recommend you do vegetarianism over veganism. And there's a reason for that. So, number one, okay, sustainable eating. Let's talk about that. Telling yourself you can't have something is not sustainable eating. Yes, you want the majority of your foods to come from clean whole foods. But you can occasionally, when it is allotted, have a little treat here and there. The reason why I'm not a fan of veganism is it is not a sustainable way of eating. You are telling yourself you cannot have these things. Also, in the things that you cannot have, you're lacking a lot of nutrition and vitamins. B12, vitamin D, a lot of very important nutrients that your brain and your body in this physical reality need to function at an efficient level. If you're doing it for ethical reasons, I totally understand that. The only thing I could do is encourage you to have some regimen of supplementation to help make up all of the stuff you're missing in your diet. You don't really experience that with vegetarianism because you're still allowed to have eggs, you're still allowed to have dairy. There goes your vitamin D and your B12. Eggs are the powerhouse. They're trying to tell you, oh wait, I can't say that. We'll have to censor that. But now eggs are apparently the reason for these mysterious blood clots and pulmonary embolisms. Anyways, but veganism, not my first choice. If you're doing it for ethical reasons, then by all means, do what you do. I can't hate on you. And if you feel okay, continue to do it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I just think it's not a sustainable way to eat. I take the spiritual premise when it comes to my food like this. I was vegetarian for many, many years. Actually, I was more pescatarian. I still ate fish, but other than that, I did a mostly vegetarian diet. And the reason being was I did not like USDA farming practices. I did not like what they were putting in the meat. I still don't. I still don't like what they're putting in the meat, how they treat the baby chickens, all that. You know, I come from a profound background that you are thankful for the life on your plate, okay? And I stopped eating meat for about a good 6-7 years. I still ate fish because you can go catch fish in the wild and things like that. I would eat game. I would, still eat eggs and dairy and things like that. Now, for all of you vegans and vegetarians out here, here's just something I want you to think about. I would never discourage you from living the way you do. So there was a problem I ran into when I was vegetarian. Is I would have people, friends, coworkers, colleagues offer me food, and I would have to continuously turn it down because it had some kind of meat in it. So the one thing I want you guys just to think about here is that the bond between human beings is just as special as our bond with nature and the planet around us. Okay? If somebody's offering you food, they're breaking bread with you. They're giving you a piece of them. They are telling you their story by offering you this food. And over time, I came upon this spiritual realization myself that, maybe I need to really also focus on my bonds with my fellow humans, as well as still maintain a ecologically friendly mindset when it comes to viewing all of existence here on this planet as one unit as opposed to an egotistical that I'm above everything else. So what I ended up doing was started eating meat again, but I sourced my meats from cage-free, organic, actually grass-fed, treated very nicely cows and chickens who had wonderful lives, okay? Because that way I don't intake that negative energy from that meat. Yes, food is information, you guys. Food is information, okay? And the information you put in your body is going to dictate what happens to your being. So if you're still eating a lot of commercial meats, if you're still eating a lot of the stuff that's USDA choice or USDA prime, you're dealing with a not so great kind of information source. Because I do agree, animals, yes, they are here to help feed us, but they are also living things. They deserve just as good a life up until they are on your plate than we deserve. You understand what I'm saying there? So that's kind of an outline I would give for you guys on the physical health premise is, if you're going to go meatless, do vegetarian, okay? I guarantee you, if you just did some legwork, you can find a lot of farms that take good care of their chickens and their cows that you can get very good sustainable eggs and milk from. Then, yes, you're going to pay a little bit more. I understand that. But the one thing that I always say is you're either going to pay for your health now or you're going to pay for it later. Okay? Paying for it now is going to give you a longer, healthier, happier life. Paying for it later may not do that. Okay? So, we're going to wrap up that physical health section here and we're going to get into step 4. All right. So step 4, shadow work. So you heard me kind of talk about this in the step 2 a little bit. You kind of heard me talk about this in step 3 a little bit. Now we're going to kind of get to the nitty gritty. All right, we're going to kind of really get down and dirty when it comes to this mental health aspect and shadow work. So what shadow work is working on untangling and removing that emotional baggage that you have been carrying in your subtle and etheric emotional body since whatever happened to you. It's not an easy thing to do. This step right here tends to scare off a lot of people. And I mean really scare them off, because once you really take a look inside the deepest part of your being and you look at all of these skeletons in your closet and you look at all of these things that you need to address that you've kind of been casting aside, it becomes a tad bit overwhelming. It was for me, but there's hope. Okay, there's hope. It has to be done. You don't have to do it all at once. You can take it on a step-by-step basis. Now, mind you, this is not a race. The tortoise wins the race in this kind of thing. It might take you a couple years. It might take you 2, 3, 5, 10 years to undo a lot of the stuff that is kind of built up on your inside in your emotional, subtle, etheric body. And this, I think, is imperative to ascension, because this is kind of what I would call a karmatic thing. Is you're carrying the emotion, the trauma, still from all of this stuff that's happened to you in your life. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. There might be some things that don't 100% go away. And that's okay. Okay, I promise you, that's okay. If you learn how to put it in the back seat and let you do the driving and not the trauma, you're going to be good to go. Okay? And that's what a lot of people do. Sometimes there's no completely unwinding it. Sometimes something so messed up and so bad has happened to you that it's just going to leave an imprint on you for the rest of your life. That's okay. All right? We've all had something like that happen to us. The one thing I would stress is to learn how to have it take a back seat and you be the driver. It's still there. You acknowledge that it's still there. But it is no longer behind the wheel in your life. No longer. I mean, a good example I could put through this for me, is the stuff that I dealt with when I was growing up. I had family members abuse me. Some still do to this day. I had friends who were supposed to be my friends do very shitty things to me. And basically what happened to me was I became a very, very downright angry, spiteful person. So angry to the fact that when I felt like I was being mistreated or I felt like somebody was doing me wrong, it was instant fight mode. Just instant, let's go outside and let's throw some fisticuffs. But, a lot of work and a lot of spiritual lessons came my way during, my 20s into my early 30s. And I realized this mindset was drinking poison and expecting other people to die. And I kind of let that go. And what also helped me too, and you guys, I can't stress this enough, is therapy. All right, I've been going to therapy now for a little bit, and it really feels good to have an external person that is a third party that is not biased in your life help validate you and what you've been through and what you've been feeling. It's a very, very enlightening experience, and it helped me through so much. Now, don't get me wrong, I got a lot of work to do still. Trust me. All right, and this is forever a work in progress. So, don't get discouraged, all of you, especially the ones who have had rough lives, just like I have, okay? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I can promise you that, all right? And just stick it out and do what needs to be done, and you'll make it. On to step 5. All right, step 5. Reading between the lines. So, this is going to kind of be a gross topic on a few things. So, number 1, reading between the lines. Kind of has to do with focusing on the subtle too. So, the events that are going on in today's world, okay, the world stage, these have been pre-plotted and pre-planned. Now, I know some of you said, wait, Steve, we're not doing the conspiracy talk on your shows all the time anymore. Well, this is kind of apparent. I feel personally at this point, if you've been on your spiritual journey, in fact, this situation that I'm talking about right now is actually a catalyst to waking people up. They start to find out that the establishments around the world, okay, are not for our best interest. They are for their own best interest and for the best interest of a particular plan. So, but we can't let them have it, right? We got to not manifest that for them. It's up to us to manifest that plan for them. That's how they do what they do. So what I mean reading between the lines is learning the symbolism that is going to be showcased on the world stage, things like that. So basically what I'm going to do in this section right here is we're going to pull up my browser and I'm going to show you some of the different symbols that we got going on that you can kind of take a look at. So a couple of the obvious ones you guys will see is the number 33, all right, the checkerboard, right, the Vesica Pisces, which has kind of embedded itself everywhere, and there's a few others. I'm going to get to them right now. But why these are important? Because when you watch world events, if you do entertain the media, which I do not, I try to play non-attachment with the stuff that's going on the world stage, even though a lot of it is important and kind of correlates to what's going on. So without further ado, let's hop up here real quick. Let me shrinky my camera like I always do, and let's pull up the browser. All right, so we have the Vesica. Ooh, it went to Google Sky. Whoopsie. So we got the Vesica Pisces. Right? So the Vesica Pisces, I think, is a very good one we need to start looking at. Because as you can see here, right, kind of looks like the MasterCard symbol. Right? Kind of looks like the ABC News symbol right here, right? Well, that's because even the fish All right, the Jesus fish is going to have the Vesica Pisces in it. Okay, so what the Vesica Pisces is, it is actually the symbolic occult representation of the first 2 days of creation. So this plays a huge part. There we go again. So right here too, I'm going to scroll down, as you guys can see right here. This looks a lot like the ABC symbol for ABC News, does it not? That is because these people are aware of occult symbolism. They know the symbols. They know how to use them also. Okay, so that kind of even plays into what I'm talking about reading between the lines, is to look for these symbols, not only on your stage, but the world stage, to see what's actually going on. Because they have to tell us what their plan is. Who they are, well, we might touch on that towards the end of the show when we talk about this fake alien invasion they're trying to pitch at us. But this is what I mean reading between the lines. Okay, this is going to tie into sovereignty also, is if you know and you've done your research and you know what is planned out, okay, and just in case you think I might be full of it, for some of you new guys who are checking me out, I encourage you to look up the book The Three World Wars by Albert Pike. It was released in the late 1800s, and I want you to read World War I, World War II, and World War III, and everything else they talk about, and tell me this is very eerily on point. Okay, this plan that we're undergoing right now, the New World Order plan, has been in the works for many, many centuries. And in fact, I even think that this has all been in the works since the end of the last Younger Dryas, when humanity kickstarted again. So, reading between the lines, okay, can also mean don't take what the media, a quote-unquote source of authority, has to tell you at face value. Do your own research, okay, and look into the topic for yourself, okay. A good example was that virus, okay. I ended up doing research and seeing that the data, the actual science, the statistical information did not line up to what the TV and the news were saying. And, I'm not going to go too much into it on this episode on why these people lie, but I'm going to give you a couple reasons as to why they lie. Number one, money, okay? I don't even know if I'd say that's number one, but it is a big factor because you have to understand who funds all of these media stations, who pays their paychecks. I mean, you look at CNN and MSNBC, you have Boeing, DARPA, Pfizer, Moderna. These individuals are what help fund these media stations. Now, the average person isn't going to speak out against who pays their paycheck, are they? Didn't think so. Not everybody's going to do that, especially if you're in a really comfy position at Mr. CNN and you get a lot of money for going up there and lying your ass off. So this is the one thing I think a lot of people get disconnected from, is they want to see the good in the world. And I understand that. We do have to see the good in the world. And I'm not saying there aren't completely altruistic people who want what's good in this world, working for the government, healthcare, media, things like that. I'm not saying there isn't, but the problem is they're not the shot callers. We're talking 1 million worker bees for probably 3 to 6 shot callers. And the shot callers kind of relay the message to the worker bees in a way that it seems beneficial. Remember, we've talked about this. If I had an insidious plan and plot, I'm not going to verbalize it to you like it's an insidious plan and plot. I'm going to make it seem beneficial. I'm going to make it seem like it's for the good of humanity if I'm going to try to get you on with my evil plot. So there's a lot of reasons they lie. Social order being one, too. Anything that would skew the social order, they're going to lie about. They're going to tell you it's not true. That's why if there really was a doomsday scenario coming, which I do think, like I said, the micronova is the most plausible one that I've seen at this point, they're not going to tell you till the last minute because they want to keep social order until they get to their underground bunkers. And then they're going to tell you once they're all safe so they can be free from the pandemonium that's going to ensue. So basically what I'm saying here, guys, is reading between the lines is not only looking for the symbols, okay, that are portrayed to tell you what's going on. In fact, I'm going to leave a bunch of links down here at the bottom for you guys so you can actually see what I'm talking about as far as the symbols go. And to be sovereign with your information and the information that you intake, okay? If, let's say, well, I don't know, let's give it another year down the road. Let's say there's another quote unquote something that happens. Instead of just watching the news and taking what they say at face value, do your own research. Come up with your own conclusion. It's funny is this too. A lot of people ask me, some of the other guys who aren't really on our vibe, are like, where do you get all this time to do your own research? And I'm like, where do you get this time to do this, this, and this? And I said, well, in my free time, I'm proactive. In the free time that I have, I train my mind, my body. I research things I'm interested in or that are kind of going on the world stage today instead of just pissing my free time away. And I'm not going to say what I think is pissing your free time away because everybody's entitled to what they want to do in their free time. I just choose to use my free time proactively. That's kind of what I decide to do. So that's reading between the lines, guys, is learning the plan that's been in place. And that's been in place for a while. I do not feel this is just a speculatory opinion anymore. As some of you can see, it's kind of, they're trying their damnedest to make it come to fruition. So, without further ado, on to step 6. All right, here we go. Step 6, head, heart, and hands. I feel this right here, this trio. In fact, I even call it the original Holy Trinity. I hope that doesn't piss some of you off, but I feel it is, the original Holy Trinity. So when it comes to manifesting, all right, this is what we want to do in our ascension process. We not only want to free ourselves from what holds us, we want to be able to manifest into existence the life we want, a joyful, abundant life, okay? Free of drama, free of world stage drama, all of that stuff. We want nothing but the best for us and our loved ones and our friends. So let me just clear up some things on manifestation real quick. All right, you New Age guys who think you can just sit there and stare at the window and just wish and want that new car to show up just right there, just by doing nothing. That's not how it works, okay? And this is why I ditched the New Age philosophy and I stick with the Old Age philosophies at this point. The ones before the Bible that I think make a hell of a lot more sense. So, head, heart, and hands. What this means is unifying your head, your heart, and your hands into the sole thing that you want to manifest. I know a lot of you guys have had problems with manifestations or you just can't seem to get it right. It's because something is lacking in one of these areas, okay? Your head and your heart might be in it, but you're not doing the work you need to do to get there. That could be one thing. Your head and your hands are in it, but your heart's not. That could be another. Or your heart and your hands are in it and your head's not. That's a very funky one, but it can happen. So when we're talking in terms of manifesting whatever you want, whether you want your own podcast, whether you want an eco home in the San Luis Valley, whether you want this, this, and this, it has to be in a complete alignment with that Trinity in order for it to take effect. For instance, let's say that your big dream that you want the most in your life is to own a homestead off on a piece of land with solar power, things like that, have some livestock, kind of live the good life, okay? You have to be in alignment with your head, your heart, and your hands. Because your head puts forth the thought form. The frequency of your heart, okay, if it's in the right place, is going to solidify the thought form into your reality, and then your hands are going to do the work of creating it into this reality. Now, hands is just a metaphor. Okay, you're not going to use your hands for everything, but I guess what the hands stands for is doing the legwork. And I think a lot of people miss that. You can want something in your head and your heart, but if you're not using the legwork and you're not putting forth the effort to manifest what you want, it's never going to happen. It's not. Okay? There's some people who are super aligned. They know exactly what they want. And yes, they're doing all three steps, but it might seem effortless to those viewing on the outside that are like, oh shit, dude, you just made it happen in 2 days. Well, it's because it was an alignment. That's what he wanted, or they wanted, or she wanted, you know? And that is something that the New Age group really grinds my gears about. You're not just going to sit there and want something to death and it's just going to fucking appear in front of you. It's not going to happen. So that's kind of where, you know, I would just tell you that, you know, let's say you want that crystal store. Let's say you want to go out and spread your message. Let's say you want to do these things. You have to be in alignment. You have to be. So that's where I'm going to leave this little quick starter guide for Ascension for today. Obviously, we're going to talk about more things as the future comes, okay? I feel that these 6 steps are very integral in helping you kickstart your ascension process into perceiving higher frequencies and dimensions, understanding the subtle and understanding the symbolism, as well as bringing yourself to a more centered space where you feel better. Because remember, we're all our own little universe inside of this avatar right now. And we're all going to have different ways of seeing things. You and I do not see the color blue, the color red, and the color gray the same way. We just don't. So, without further ado, I think I'm going to entertain this alien invasion pitch that's coming into fruition. So, you guys have heard me say time and time again, the real aliens don't need to invade. They're already here. They've been here. And I'm not even as sure as I would call them aliens. I'm not sure if I would even use that term. They have been here just as long as us, if not longer. For them to invade, it would just be like invading some place you already own or you've already been. It's like going into your home and invading it. Going into your store that you own and invading it. Why are you going to do that? There's absolutely no reason. And I think what happens is a lot of people get caught up in the humanization of extraterrestrials, interdimensional life. I'm just going to lay it out for you guys like this. If these entities, these beings, were able to travel vast light years of space with advanced technology in short periods of time, they have no need for resources or real estate. Okay? At that point, you are so advanced, you can create resources. You can terraform a planet in like a short period of time, okay, so you can live there. It's not going to be resources or real estate. Okay? Number 2, once you get to that level of consciousness, because from what I've seen, at least, and I'm sure what a lot of you have seen, is when you ascend in consciousness, the desire to be malevolent kind of just goes away. It just does. I mean, I can even say that firsthand in my journey. Now, I'm not saying I'm an ascended or an enlightened being by any means, but as I've gone further in my spiritual path and in this path of consciousness, My need to be spiteful, vengeful, or malevolent has dissipated. Why? Why at that point? And from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, if you want to be a race that gets to go outside of your home world and get to explore around, you have to be in a higher state of consciousness. You cannot be stuck in a lower frequency in order to do that, because then you're just going to go out there and just start messing things up. And that's one thing I'm going to tell you guys too, is that there are guardians, most certainly, of the things and oversee things that go on here. And they would most certainly probably take out instantaneously any kind of race that does not respect the boundaries that have been set in place here in this realm, this reality. So I think this is kind of funny. So let's see if we can find something about these unknown objects. So let's do RT. Let's see what they got to say here. So I'm not seeing anything about the... Yep, so here. Snowden labels UFO craze a distraction. Boom! Thank you, Mr. Snowden. I'm happy. You know, I remember when I was first vouching for you back in the day when you were working at Booz Allen Hamilton and you released everything that was going on. It was not espionage. That is a protected whistleblower right here, Mr. Snowden. So, the media frenzy over spy balloons and unidentified flying objects over North America is sadly not about first contact with extraterrestrials, but an engineered panic for political misdirection. It's not aliens. I wish it were aliens, but it's not aliens. It's just the old engineered panic, an attractive nuisance ensuring national security reporters get assigned to investigate balloon bullshit rather than budgets or bombings, such as the Nord Stream. So, I'm sure you guys have seen this before, okay? They like to go, hey, look over there. Look over there. Don't pay attention to what's going on over here. Look over here. And what baffles me time and time again is people continuously keep getting fooled. They keep getting fooled. And I have many reasons as to why I think these distractions are going on. I feel the whole Tyree Nichols thing was a distraction against the quote-unquote scandal I'm not allowed to talk about without getting my video striked. So that's number one. I do feel that. Because that was a very important thing. And then we just found out that, I'm wondering if I can even say this, that our home turf was involved in Nord Stream. Yeah, you know, that's kind of how it goes, guys. The CIA and the FBI, they've been doing this for a long time. In fact, I don't know if you remember that the FBI would create fake terrorist plots so they could bust themselves just so they had news stories. The CIA is notorious for going to other countries, destabilizing governments, okay, and causing upheaval. This is what these people do. This is what they're paid to do, and that's why I call them the gatekeepers of the simulatory reality we live in, because they have to keep perpetuating it. And with them perpetuating it, we're allowing that manifestation to occur by buying into it. You see what I'm saying? So I've kind of even met Jake's theory and my theory a little bit halfway on that, is that, yes, that they do use this predictive programming to help manifest their goals, but then I do believe they take advantage of it also. So I honestly think this, guys. And I'm not going to get too much more into it. Let's take a look at a couple of other things. Let's see if they got some, high altitude object, unidentified unmanned object. You gotta love how they use these keywords. So let's check. New Yorkie Post. Well, isn't that kind of crappy? White House not embarrassed. So he's remaining silent probably because his handlers are telling him to not say anything so they can kind of segue into this quote unquote military missed UFO with first missile shot over Lake Huron. So a U.S. fighter pilot tasked with shooting down an unknown object over Lake Huron this past weekend missed the intended target. First shot missed, second shot hit. Alright, this is what I'm going to tell you too, guys. If these are really the extraterrestrials, our missiles would not... Dude, and this is what I was talking about, man, when the Space Force, like, first came into being. And, like, yeah, I know that the Space Force is to defend space or protected space against other people, but it's also to defend from threats that are outside of our planets. Our Space Force, to them, the real ones, is the equivalent of bringing a hot dog to a gunfight. Yes, a hot dog. Not even a knife, not even a butter knife, not even a fork, not even a spoon. Our Space Force is the equivalent of throwing a rubber duck at a pit of spikes. Okay? This is what I'm talking about, you guys. Our missiles would do absolutely nothing to them. and then some of you guys would go, well, what if they're just as advanced as us? Like, I mean, what if, like, well, dude, how the hell did they get here? Because we don't have that technology to travel vast light years of space like that in short periods of time. So they're definitely not as advanced as us. They would at least be at a minimum 1,000 years more advanced than us in order to traverse that kind of space. But then again, guys, like I said, our Space Force is the equivalent of bringing a hot dog to a gunfight if we were dealing with these real ones that I'm talking about, because it's laughable. It's laughable to me. And the fact that they're going to try to portray this as it was an actual UFO that this plane shot down, it was not. Do not fucking believe it, guys. Do not. Let's look at it a little bit more. We go to great lengths to make sure the airspace is clear and backdrop is clear out to the max effective range of the missile. We tracked it all the way down and we made sure the airspace was clear of any commercial or recreational traffic. Yeah, and they're struggling to find the object too. I believe it's struck down reports. They do not believe. Oh man, look at this. The news came as National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters that intelligence officials do not believe the UFO, along with the two others struck down on Friday or Saturday, were part of China's spy balloon program that has captivated the nation in recent weeks. So, they're trying, you guys. Even if the most recent objects have benign intent, they're trying, dude. They are hella trying, guys, and that to me is just fucking funny. It's funny to me, and yeah. So they're not the real aliens. If you wake up and there's a so-called alien invasion going on, go get a high-powered laser pointer and just shine it up at one of them. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be dispelling it. And supposedly, according to some people, that if they really did try to attempt this, do this staged alien invasion, that the real ones are going to make it look like a cartoon show. The reason why I think this may happen, now, I'm not a believer in looking to a messiah or a savior to come down and save us. I think we have the power of God within us all, and therefore we have to save ourselves. And in order for the real ones to showcase themselves to us, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to save themselves. However, there's rules here in this realm, this planet, or whatever. And I think that incident in and of itself would kind of break some of the rules. So I think they would maybe do something to deter it because, like I said, they are the narrative builders too. This is this perfectly staged Great Awakening we're going through. An incident like that is going to fuck up the whole show. The show is done when they say, not when we say. So until that day, I have a feeling that this isn't going to come to fruition, and you guys don't put your thoughts in it to manifest it, for fuck's sake. All right? So I think that's it for the Wednesday show. I'm going to wrap it up, you guys. I want to thank you for joining this consciousness special segment again. I'm hoping I could help you guys a little bit along the way. So stay tuned for the BG Tap show on Friday. It's going to be on Friday as opposed to Saturday. I want to get a whole weekend in this weekend and spend some time with some people and take care of some things. So we'll be doing it Friday night, probably around 5, 6 o'clock. I will drop the link when it's time and when it's ready. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I really do. We're all in this path together. Yes, I know some of my followers might think this is hippy dippy shit, but we're all on this path together. Nobody's better than anybody else, okay? Your way is your own special way, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like if your spiritual practice is lighting some sage and taking some silence, and your physical and mental health is taking a long hike through the mountains, a walk, dude, that's completely fine. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what he does. You don't have to do what she does. You do what's right for you. Bottom line. And that even plays into being sovereign, y'all. So, until next time, guys, I'll see you on Friday.